What if I told you the world's most photographed institution was outplayed by the woman who claimed she wanted privacy the most? Not by hiding, but by controlling what you were never allowed to see. Because when it comes to Meghan Markle, absence isn't coincidence, it's choreography.
I was there, hated the day. The day was a miserable day. I mean, it was a worst royal engagement I ever did, a royal wedding I ever did.
Actually, this does look like a moon bump to me.
Are you buying that excuse that Meghan Markle used a fake belly to protect her real belly? I'm not buying this.
What if I told you the world's most famous royal runaway managed to outsmart every camera lens on Earth? Not by stealth, but by PR strategy. Because when it comes to Meghan Markle, disappearing isn't an accident. It's an art form. And here's where the fairy tale fractures. Royal life is built on visibility, balcony waves, hospital steps, carefully timed appearances that reassure the public everything is exactly where it should be. But Meghan didn't just bend that system, she ghosted it. While others posed, she vanished. While the palace expected tradition, she delivered strategy.
And I travelled the world with him, and I did really enjoy working with him. But, you know, now I really don't care if I ever see him again, because the way he's behaved towards the king and our queen and his brother and his sister-in-law is appalling.
While other royals serve duty, tradition, and decades of decorum, Meghan serves something else entirely. A steaming hot plate of self-promotion garnished with a sprinkle of victimhood. That contrast matters, because this wasn't a shy newcomer overwhelmed by protocol. This was a woman who could turn a single step into a headline, a glance into a narrative, a silence into a scandal. The cameras didn't miss her, they were denied her.
She delivered it like an actress delivered it, an opera responded going, wow.
The woman could turn a photo op into a global event faster than the palace could say, protocol breach. Yet somehow the one moment every royal photographer waited for. That iconic pregnancy glow became the most forbidden image in modern royal history. Forbidden. Let that word sit, because pregnancies in the royal family aren't hidden, they're documented, ritualized, canonized in flashbulbs. Yet this one, locked down tighter than state secrets.
Archie Harrison, Mountbatten Windsor, you know, was the name, and had nothing to do with the royal family.
Arthur Edwards, the man who's photographed 6 generations of royalty, says he was told to stay away. Let that sink in. The same lens that captured Princess Diana's humanity was banned from Meghan's maternity. And while the cameras were locked out, the spotlight somehow stayed glued to her. Dancing interviews, documentary tears, and a Netflix contract thicker than royal etiquette. Meghan didn't just marry a prince, she married the algorithm. So buckle up, because tonight we're not talking about tiaras or tabloids. We're diving into the story the palace tried to bury. This wasn't privacy. Privacy is retreating from attention. This was selective exposure. Total silence where proof was expected, total presence where narrative mattered. And that imbalance triggered something the monarchy fears more than scandal: suspicion.
You're gonna see or hear Meghan Markle's belly pop. You're gonna see these people's faces. And I can tell you that one of these people is now speaking out.
Why no authentic bump photos of Meghan Markle exist, and what Arthur Edwards finally revealed when the silence broke. This isn't gossip, it's royal image warfare. They say every royal story begins with a cry from the balcony. Meghan's began with a press blackout. When most royals announce a pregnancy, the world turns into a camera flash storm. Kate Middleton steps out, and suddenly it's front page history. Meghan Markle steps out, and suddenly every photographer is told, stand down. You could almost hear Buckingham Palace pulling the fire alarm on the entire British press. A fire alarm doesn't mean there's a fire, it means panic. And panic spreads faster than truth, especially when questions aren't answered, they're ignored.
I mean, obviously, when William was born and Harry was born and George and Charlotte and Louis, we got great pictures outside the hospital. I remember, and William and Catherine especially, they made such an effort to show the whole world their new baby.
Arthur Edwards, a man who's been closer to the crown than half the family tree, was left scratching his head. For 45 years, he's captured every royal bump, wave, and scandal in high-definition truth. But when Meghan's turn came, silence. No invitations, no photo calls, just a polite royal command to stay away. It was the kind of silence that screamed louder than any headline. And for a woman who claimed to crave authenticity, this was a disappearing act Houdini would have applauded. Authenticity doesn't hide behind closed gates. And the more tightly the palace locked down the visuals, the louder the whispers became. Reporters began whispering, why the secrecy? Was it privacy or was it control? Because nothing says modern transparency quite like a media lockdown backed by palace security. Meanwhile, Meghan mastered the vanishing art of presence without proof. The public saw her everywhere, yet no one saw what mattered. The Crown's PR machine spun faster, the tabloids foamed harder, and Arthur Edwards waited for a photograph that never came. But if you think that silence was strange, wait until you hear what and who broke it next, because silence never survives the internet. It started with a clip 5 blurry seconds that detonated like a grenade under Kensington Palace. Meghan Markle, 9 months pregnant, drops into a squat, pops back up, and spins like she's auditioning for Dancing with the Stars Royal Edition. Internet sleuths froze the frames, zoomed in, slowed it down, and suddenly the moon bump theory had its crown jewel. Medical professionals chimed in. No way a woman that far along moves like that. Twitter investigators sharpened their pitchforks, Reddit built timelines, and YouTube turned into a 24-hour pregnancy court. The headlines didn't say congratulations, they said illusion. And while the palace was busy issuing polite no comments, Meghan's PR squad was uploading soft-focus lifestyle photos that looked like perfume ads, glowing lighting, perfect angles, zero authenticity, because nothing screams real motherhood like a Netflix filter and an enda. 5 seconds did what months of silence couldn't, it cracked the illusion. But here's where it got truly bizarre. The louder the rumors grew, the quieter the palace became. Every unanswered question acted like oxygen to a wildfire. And when Arthur Edwards quietly confirmed that photographers were explicitly told not to cover her bump, the internet didn't see caution. It saw confirmation. Confirmation doesn't arrive with proof. It arrives with silence so loud it rattles the gates. And once Arthur Edwards confirmed the cameras were deliberately kept away, the story stopped being about privacy and started being about power. Remember Paul Page, the former royal guard who spoke about life behind the velvet rope and then found a warning letter on his doorstep? The machinery of silence has been well-oiled for generations. Our witness reportedly faced the same ghostly pressure. Polite phone calls that turned into heavy ones. Friends who stopped returning messages, jobs that evaporated overnight, and the cruel irony, the harder the push to erase her, the louder the internet listened. She didn't have a title or a PR team, but her fear said more than any headline could. Someone somewhere wanted this topic buried under Buckingham marble, because in the monarchy's rule book, loyalty is currency, and talking out of turn can cost you everything. Behind every royal smile, there's a war room built out of polished oak and plausible deniability. When the Meghan mystery started heating up, insiders say the palace didn't grab a fire extinguisher, they grabbed a script, because that's what the Crown does best. It doesn't solve scandals, it manages them like a centuries-old PR firm with better jewels. That's the part outsiders never see. The machinery doesn't panic, it recalibrates. Silence isn't absence, it's strategy. Staffers whispered about media strategy meetings where every sentence had to pass through 5 quarters and a stress test for optics. Nobody wanted to be the one holding the match when the rumor mill burst into flames. The famous mantra, never complain, never explain, sounds dignified until you realize it's basically royal code for keep quiet and hope the internet forgets. Except the internet doesn't forget, it's screenshots. So, while Meghan polished her global citizen persona in California sunshine, back in London, officials were juggling 2 impossible goals. Protect the image of the monarchy and avoid looking like they were protecting anyone. Emails vanished, press briefings turned into riddles, and Arthur Edwards, the veteran photographer left outside the palace gates, became a living symbol of that silence, proof that even the most powerful institution on earth still fears a single unfiltered picture. Inside those palace walls, truth wasn't destroyed. It was archived, labeled sensitive, and locked somewhere next to the family silver. The British monarchy runs on 2 fuels, tradition, and when whispers about the Sussex saga brushed against the sacred topic of succession, even the chandeliers trembled, because once succession enters the conversation, this stops being gossip. It becomes existential. For centuries, the line to the throne has been treated like a sacred algorithm. One bad variable and the whole system crashes. Also, when social media started asking uncomfortable questions about timelines, titles, and birth announcements, the palace's silence went from graceful to panic. One press secretary reportedly developed a new hobby, answering questions without using nouns. History had already written the warning manual. Edward VII fell for love and lost a crown. Diana spoke and shattered an image. Now, a Netflix generation was streaming royal drama in real time. Every click, every meme, every freeze frame threatened to turn royal protocol into trending content. Commentators began to treat the monarchy like a soap opera with a constitutional budget. They weren't debating bloodlines anymore. They were binge watching damage control. And that's the real bombshell. Not who sits in the line, but how quickly the line itself can unravel in the court of public opinion. And just when the palace thought it could contain the narrative, a single name detonated the next chapter. The doctor, Meghan at the Albert Hall. How many weeks pregnant was she supposed to be? Was it about 8 weeks? And she looks as if she's at least 5 months pregnant. The math didn't math. And for an institution obsessed with choreography, one misstep echoed like thunder. Within days, the doctor's own husband reportedly said that didn't happen. Cue collective confusion. The palace said one thing, the press printed another, and the internet poured itself a drink. That contradiction turned speculation into sport. And also, why is the belly several shades browner than anywhere else? It's not supposed to be browner. One detail became 10. 10 became 1,000 screenshots. And still, silence. And in that void, every unanswered question became clickbait gold. Because when the royal machine refuses to fact check itself, the internet gladly will, one screenshot at a time. By now, this wasn't about belief, it was about trust. And trust evaporates fast when stories don't align. The palace retreated into its oldest language, symbolism. Do you remember when Diana was delivering Harry or William? There was complete quiet. No one knew. We cameras couldn't get even anywhere near the hospital. Sure, but we let alone in the room then. We didn't have mobile phones then. But it was so private. And there's a dignity with privacy. And I certainly wouldn't if I were pregnant dance like, well, I can't. And then came the quietest statement of all. Absence. The framed photo. Gone. For a monarch who never needed words, that missing image landed like a velvet hammer. No explanation. No announcement. Just a gap where certainty used to live. Because in royal language, removal is louder than accusation. And as questions swirled, attention shifted west to a hospital that suddenly became the center of the storm. I would say step 1 would be to confirm this room. Find out where it was. Find out that that very room. Find out which room it was and go look at it. But confirmation never came. The institution had 2 options: confirm the story and quiet the storm, or pull a classic royal move and ghost the planet. Guess which one they chose? The hospital spoke in riddles, congratulated, clarified nothing. The kind of language that keeps lawyers calm and everyone else screaming. There's no stress there, not even a little bit of stress, none. And there should be there because she's getting ready to have one of the worst painful things of her life, having a baby. And that contrast, serenity where strain was expected, became the final fracture. Because in a world where everything is documented, the absence of evidence is evidence. From banned photographers to vanishing confirmations, from contradictory statements to perfectly curated images, this wasn't a story about a bump. It was a story about control. Arthur Edwards said it plainly. We were told to stay away. Maybe it was privacy, maybe it was power, but the result was the same. The most protected brand on earth blinked, because this isn't a fairy tale anymore. It's a franchise running on silence, and silence never survives the internet. And just when it seemed the story had reached its end, the digital leak hit, the one that cracked the Sussex image wide open and sent their empire into freefall. That's where the implosion truly began. And trust me, that chapter goes even deeper. Chapter goes even deeper. Chapter goes even deeper. Chapter goes